I've got some tea. Do I ever not have tea? Magic. Hello, lovely folks and friends. People I haven't talked to in a little while. It's true, I am back. I took a little bit of a break from YouTube and also just, I think, from the internet in general, trying to corral it into certain parts of my life and not let it bleed over everything. Welcome to my channel. I'm Kaylin May, and today we're going to talk through my Reading Rush TBR. So we'll go through each of the challenges, and I'm going to tell you about the books that I will be reading, and I figure out how to make it 3 books because two of them are longer, one of them is medium length. So I figured instead of trying to do like 7 short books for one for each challenge, I'm just going to lean into the fact that they're going to be long books. So without further ado, let's get started on that. And then I'll give you a little update about what's going on in my life. So the Reading Rush is July 20th through July 26th. And it happens annually. It's hosted by Ariel Bissett and Raylene. Ariel and Raylene. And you can see they have a podcast together. You can also check out, I'll link the Reading Rush website as well as the challenges video below. It's just a good way to like get a little bit of like reading crammed in to your summer. And they have 7 challenges, and each challenge you find a book for. Those books can overlap or they cannot overlap. And this will be the 3rd sort of reading challenge that I've done since starting a channel. The first was their Stay Home Reading Rush back in April, and that was really fun. It was condensed into 4 days. I even condensed it into 3, and I read 4 books, and I just like barreled through it. And because it was such a short amount of time, I was able to like focus and get it done. And then I did the Asian readathon, which was for the month of May, and it was again 4 books, and I got through 3 of them, and I just couldn't finish the 4th one because it was an audiobook, and I'm just sort of like in a weird place with audiobooks right now. I just find it hard when I'm not doing, like when I was driving or commuting, it was a lot easier to listen to them. So I technically did not complete that challenge, so I'm hoping for a completion of this challenge, and I'm trying to be a little more realistic about it than I was for the Asian readathon. Okay, so let's talk challenges. I'm a July baby. I actually just had my birthday 2 weeks ago, and so that means that I am a Ruby birthstone, and so I will be reading Carlos Ruiz Zafón's The Angel's Game, which is the 2nd book in the Cemetery of Forgotten Books series. And I actually just finished Shadow of the Wind last week, and it was so good. It was so good. It's just, these are like gothic mystery novels. They take place in Barcelona. Beautifully written. Every subplot has a subplot. Like, characters aren't always who you think they are, and everything is like very layered. And there's a little bit of like destiny and just fortuitous, I don't want to say fortuitous circumstance because the things that are happening aren't fortuitous, but like there's a level of coincidence and like a little bit of plot convenience that just makes it fun. It's just fun. I mean, it's scary, and it's got a little bit of that like suspense and sometimes even horror and intrigue and all sorts of stuff. So I loved Shadow of the Wind, and so I'm on to the 2nd one, which also happens to be ruby red. So I'll be reading The Angel's Game, and funny story, I originally got the 3rd book a long time ago. Prisoner of something. What's the 3rd one called? I keep thinking Prisoner of Azkaban, but it very clearly is not the Prisoner of Azkaban. Oh, Prisoner of Heaven. Okay. So I originally bought the Prisoner of Heaven, not realizing it was the 3rd in a series, and then I went back and I bought the first 2 so that I could read them. Finished the 1st one. This is like tiny writing, and it's over 500 pages long. It is 531 pages. So thinking about it in that perspective, is it the best book to try and like cram into a reading rush with other books? I don't know. Am I gonna do it anyway? Yes. Is this one of the reasons that I had to kind of condense my challenges into 3 books? Yes. And so again, I'm gonna use The Angel's Game for that. So that's one of those crossover moments. I am going to be using Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I'm gonna be really honest, I haven't seen the movie of this, but I don't want to buy a new book right now. I want to be reading through the books that I have, and I very rarely read a book after seeing the movie. Like, I almost always read the book before seeing the movie. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is I'm gonna actually watch the movie of this either tonight or tomorrow night, which, as I'm filming this, it's Friday, so I have a couple days before the reading rush actually starts, and then it'll just be sort of like a more back-to-back thing. So I feel like right now I'm sort of like stretching the truth a little bit because I truly haven't watched this movie yet, but I'm gonna allow this to be one of those times where the movie comes first, and we'll see. I'm a very, very committed book before movie gal, for the most part, unless I haven't heard of the book and I discover it through the movie, but that's, you know, not the case with this. Does it still count? Okay. And so what I did is at the very top of my bookshelf, I have like a stack of books that are the books that are new that I haven't read yet. And so I just sort of like got on my tiptoes and closed my eyes, moved my arm around and just touched one. And that book will be the book I will be reading for number 4, which is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. And this is a book that, I love how bright pink it is. I've seen a couple of people read on YouTube. 2020 feels like a year, not necessarily of rest and relaxation, but of pause and reflection and sort of even being stifled and trapped and stuck indoors. And I've heard this also deals with depression, which is something that I've gone through and feels relevant, I don't know, to this year as well. So this is the first book I touched, so it's gonna be a book that I read. This one has a lot bigger font and is around, let's see, almost 300 pages. Yeah, this book will be read outside of my house. And so I'm going to have Ready Player One fill that gap. This is a science fiction book, and sort of like a science fiction, it says fiction, science fiction, adventure. I definitely read very little science fiction, although I'm not like opposed to it. I don't read as much fantasy, science fiction, adventure as I used to when I was a kid. And so I'm excited to see how this stands up. And I really enjoyed The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, which was fantasy and a little sci-fi in some ways. And so that was a nice, like, refreshing step out of my comfort zone. And it felt meant for adults. And I think that, you know, this one on the back, the Huffington Post has claimed it delightful, the grown-ups Harry Potter. So I'm hopeful that it'll enchant me and I'll have a fun time with it. And for that, I'm going back to the trusty Angel's Game. This takes place, as I said, in Barcelona, which is in Europe, and I am in the US, and so this will be my continent. So these are the 3 books that I am reading for my reading rush, and I'm excited. They're fairly different, I would say, as books go. They're all fairly long. So this one, yeah, what's the total number of pages? 521. Let's do some math. Keep track of this. You know your girl's not having this in her head. 521. This one is acknowledgements. 372. This one is 288. So it's over 1,000 pages, 1,181 pages of pure book bliss. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to participating in some of the Instagram challenges. We'll see. I will be back here with a little more regularity now, and I just needed a little bit of a break. I needed to take a little bit of time away because I've been feeling like I've been wanting to explore, my time differently. Like I've been wanting to spend less time in front of a computer, editing and working, and on Twitter and Instagram. And I think that it's funny, it's like at the beginning of the pandemic, I was attached to the news 24/7, and I just really, like those first couple weeks of March, I was so invested in the news and wanted to see the numbers and all of the experts and just understand what was happening over and over and over again. And then as I got into April and May, I sort of stopped needing that daily dose of news. I kind of understood the big swaths, the big picture of, staying at home, that this is a devastating virus, that we should be wearing masks, that we should be social distancing. Like I had sort of the parameters of like what was mandated and from where I live. And then in May, I got the really personal experience of having a family member die of COVID. And so that, I think, shifted again my perspective of like what this pandemic is and how it takes a place in my life and how much airtime it gets. And in that period of time, I felt like I was very exposed to COVID related news, and just sort of like my finger was on the pulse of that. And I had a period of intensity again. And then I stepped away once more from the news a little bit. And then similarly with George Floyd's murder, there was a surge of wanting to be on social media, and it felt like there was so much information and so many ways to be active and ways to contribute and find out about petitions to sign and donation links to, share and donate to, which by the way, I still have in my description box. So please, there are petitions that still need to be signed. Breonna Taylor, the police officers who murdered her, still haven't been arrested or fired. So please, there's still work to be done, and you can find information there if you'd like. But much like that, I think I got, again, like a huge bump of wanting to be hyper involved and really just consuming information 24/7. And that plus the pandemic, plus the loss of my family member, I think just became a little overwhelming. And so I had to regulate the amount of time I was just spending plugged in general, and think about like, where am I making meaningful difference and where am I making meaningful change, and what actions are beneficial to not just my ego, and maybe like how I want to feel like I look good to others, but are actually doing good, which is how Layla Saad puts it in her book, Me and White Supremacy. And also just like what resonates in terms of like, how are my unique talents and skills matching up with needs that are being articulated, and how, like, where are those matches where it feels like a place where I can do good and not be just plugged into my computer 24/7. As I was realizing I needed to, like, I was just on my phone. My screen time went through the roof on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer. I was just like screens all the time. And then you add editing videos and filming and all of these things, and it just became a little too much. So I've become a lot more intentional about my time, and I'd love to take y'all through. I've done sort of like this night routine or evening routine and morning routine revamp where I don't allow myself on technology before 9 a.m. or after 9 p.m. I don't check email. I don't check Instagram. I don't look at news. I don't watch movies. I'm like, don't watch YouTube videos. I'm just off technology from 9 p.m. all the way through 9 a.m. And so I fill my time in those moments differently, reading books. I have been doing Sudoku, which is kind of funny, but it's like scratch that itch for like needing something to do to fill time while I'm getting more used to having spaciousness, and doing yoga, doing at-home workouts, walking my dog for longer, getting out, and just like having moments where I'm filling my cup so that when I do want to intentionally dedicate time to looking at news sites or watching someone's video or reading really good information on Instagram and taking in information and acting on it, it's intentional and it's built into my day in a different way. And when I want to work, it's intentional. And when I want to make a YouTube video, I'm hoping that I can fit these in intentional ways so that it fits into a more balanced approach that can keep it sustainable over the long term, but also takes care of me as I'm grieving and as I'm anxious and as I'm worried about the future of not only myself, but all of us. I'm trying to build a little bit of structure so that I can make space for myself and show up to what I want to do, my activism, my work, my YouTube channel, my hobbies in other ways, fully and engaged, and so that I'm both getting and giving in a more intentional and also fully realized way, rather than sort of stretching myself so thin, burning candles on all ends, getting thoroughly addicted to the constant update of the news cycle. And it felt like an addiction and compulsory. I was checking my phone, I picked up my phone, because your phone can track that, 471 times a day. Just pick it up and look at it. That's too much for me. And so I am back. I'm going to hopefully take you through what this evening, morning routine looks like for a little bit more calm, for better sleep. It's all sort of built around sleeping better, because I was noticing my anxiety was keeping me up crazy late, or I was waking up really early, already anxious, and then already plugged in to Instagram. I will keep making videos as I'm enjoying it, and I'll keep reading, I'll keep talking to y'all about it. I keep my books updated on Goodreads, so if you're ever wondering what I'm reading, you'll see it there. And I hope that you all can find this balance, and I'm really excited about the reading rush. I'm excited to sort of lean into a challenge for a little bit, bang out some books, and I will be sharing a little more about what's going on in my life. There's some really big changes coming down the pike. But for now, we'll all just read together. We'll get good night's sleep. We'll drink glasses of water. We'll take moments to stretch and move our bodies in ways that feel good. And we'll, fight the good fight and also have compassion for ourselves and others, because we're all in this for the long run. This pandemic, this fight for racial justice and social justice, and just this fight for, our planet, our country, for each other, for just a better world in general. So with that, if you'd like to stick around and see what's going on, don't forget to subscribe, hit the little notification bell, and like this video, and I will see you on the other side of the reading rush. All right, take care. Bye.